start off with the Niners offseason priorities. What do you think they should be, are, will be, could be, might be?
I think first, I know I talk about safeties and Stephon Gilmore, but I do think the first thing should be taking care of that offensive line. They had to figure out what they're going to do with Laken Tomlinson. Is Alec Mack going to retire, or is he coming back? Because I think their priority is Trey Lance, because he's the future, and you got to protect him, right? You have your premier left tackle. Levenci's coming back, I think. And so you need to secure that. You don't want him running for his life. Although he can run, you don't want him. You want to protect him. So what are you doing there? If you're gonna let Tomlinson walk, Aaron Banks has to be ready. Right. If Alex Mack isn't coming back, you need a plan. Like get a trade in place for somebody, or because we saw when the center is in shambles, this offensive line is not good.
It seems to me that the Niners could upgrade every single spot on the offensive line except for left tackle.
Yeah, probably. It'd be tough to do, like to upgrade all four of them.
I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying they're all upgradable in the sense that Tomlinson is solid, but a free agent is probably going to get overpaid. And then you got Mack, who could retire and is worse than Tomlinson. And then you got Brunskill, who shouldn't be a starter in the NFL. And then you got two right tackles who should. I'm sorry, Mike McGlinchey. I don't think he's a starter. He's a bad starter. He's not that much better than Tom Compton, frankly. Put it that way. I thought when Tom Compton entered he looked faster.
He did. Yeah, you know what I think would be an interesting name for them to take a flyer on, and I don't know if he's returning to play because he had some ankle surgery and he left the Steelers, was David DeCastro. He had some ankle surgery. He had some ankle problems, stopped playing.
Took the year off, right?
Yeah, he took the year off. Yeah. If he's good to come back, if you can get him like on a cheap flyer, he's a West Coast guy. I think he's from Oregon or Washington. He went to Stanford. But if that's a guy, like if he can play, he's going to play probably on a Pro Bowl level or close to it, and they'll certainly be better than Brunskill. I mean, I wouldn't give him a bag, but taking a flyer on him.
So I think we agree that the two main position groups the Niners need to focus their energy and resources in this offseason are the secondary and the offensive line.
Yeah, right? Then the secondary would, to me, after that is the secondary because you got Jaworski. He's a free agent. Yeah. He's a free agent. So is Quan Williams. So you've got to take care of that too. So and then you need secondary depth. So you got to take it. But I think the offensive line is priority because you got to protect Trey Lance.
Yeah, and I think you could argue that offense is a little bit more important than defense in today's NFL. I don't know. They say defense wins championships, but it's usually the best offensive teams in the Super Bowl every year. There's that. But here's another thing. You could say that they're both important. Secondary, offensive line, both freaking important. The question is, where do you address each one? How do you address each one? And for me, the secondary is something you should address in the draft. I know the Niners are totally different with that. And also I think with the offensive line, at least this team, that should be something they address through trades and free agency because they have never shown that they can develop young offensive linemen. I mean, they keep trying to draft dudes from Notre Dame as if those are like proven products, but no. I don't know. It seems like they do much better when they trade for guys like the left side of the offensive line or sign guys like the center as opposed to what they're trying to do on the right side. I don't know.
Yeah. I think you set the table with the offensive line. Like for instance, if you think that Aaron Banks can come in and play for Laken Tomlinson, it'll give you money in free agency where you can maybe take care of the right guard. You could maybe address safety in free agency or corner or something like that. But if you have to re-sign Laken Tomlinson, that's going to probably cost $6-7 million, something like that. And then you're going to be restricted with what you can do in free agency to address some of those other positions.
They got a big decision with Tomlinson. This kind of reminds me of where the Rams were at a couple of years with Roger Saffold. They were paying him a lot. He was getting kind of old. He had free agency. They let him go. They're like, well, we got some young guys. We were kind of prepared for this. We never wanted to pay him. He left. He goes to Tennessee. They're a really good running team. And ever since that move, the Rams haven't been able to run the ball. Yep. And I mean, it feels like you'd be overpaying Laken Tomlinson to get him right now on the open market. But if you don't get him, who else are you going to overpay for? Or are you just going to turn to Aaron Banks and hope and pray? And if it doesn't work out, where's your run game going to be? Is it going to be in the same state that the Rams run game is in pretty much right now, which is, I mean, really, with Lake and Tomlinson this year, they ranked, I want to say, 16th in yards per carry. They were not a great running team. Can they really afford to lose someone like Tomlinson? How would they replace him? Banks? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is you can replace Lake and Tomlinson with Lake and Tomlinson. What do I mean by that? Is how did they get Lake and Tomlinson? Looked around the league. They found Detroit. They're like, oh, I don't remember what it was, cheap, right? Wasn't it like 4th rounder or something like that? Yeah, 4th, 5th rounder. Yeah. Find a guy in the league and be like, oh, like find a loser in the league. Like, oh, give me your guard for like.
That seems to be what the Niners should do here. Now, I think the reason they got him is because Martin Mayhew drafted him, and he was in the front. I don't know if they have anyone like that who is that invested in the player.
Hey, this guy's pretty good, but
he's actually
this team's trash. But
yeah, the late first round pick who goes to a team like Detroit or something. Yeah. So,
but who did they just bring on? Right, the coach that they just brought on.
Who?
Lynn. Right.
Oh, we're talking about the 49ers. I thought we were talking about
no, Lynn. So maybe he has a guy from that he's played with, and he's like, he's a running game corner. Maybe he has a guy like, hey, this guy's on this team. He's pretty good. Maybe we should go get him.
I like it. So do you agree with me? Free agency, trades, offensive line, draft, secondary. Although you may have some free agent for the secondary.
Pretty much. I think you can pick your spots. If there's a guy out there that's going to come to you, that's willing to come to you, and he's that good, and you can get him
like Gilmore, who we're going to talk about,
right, for a reasonable price, then I think so. I'd agree with that.